And I'm so excited to share information about the Institute for Challenging Disorganization with you tonight. My name is Hilde Verdijk. I'm the Director of Growth and Development. A special welcome to Nacho Iyarte from Mexico, who is the Director of Publications for ICD. And I hope that Alison Lush will join us too. She is one of the past presidents of ICD, and Nacho and Alison will help me, make sure that everything's going all right. And if you have questions in the chat, I hope they will take care of answering them. If you want to ask questions in French or in Spanish, you can do that in the chat too, because Alison and Nacho speak French and Spanish. So we can do a lot of languages tonight, but English will be the main language. So welcome to the ICD, the Institute for Challenging Disorganization. I have a lot of welcome words found on the internet. I hope that your language is in here as well. I have been an ICD subscriber since 2010. I'm a CDP-CD, a certified professional organizer in chronic disorganization, and a master trainer. And for the last 6 months, I've also been the Director for Growth and Development. We will talk about the Institute for Challenging Disorganization and all the different levels of education that you can get there. We'll talk a tiny bit about the history, but most about the content of the education, what it costs, how it works. I will show you around the website. I can even take you into the vault where we have all the ICD classes, so you can see what it looks like and how incredibly many classes we have for you to enjoy. So let's start with talking a bit about the Institute for Challenging Disorganization first. So we are an international educational institute, and we specialize in chronic disorganization. We work specifically for organizing professionals and related professionals like people who work for housing societies, people like therapists, psychiatric nurses, all people who work with people who are affected by chronic disorganization. ICD's mission is to provide education, research, and strategies to support people who are affected by chronic disorganization, and our vision is to be the premier resource for information on chronic disorganization. The lady that you see here on the picture is Judith Kohlberg. Judith Kohlberg is the founder of ICD. She presented at a NAPO conference in the 1990s, and she talked about clients that didn't seem to respond well to the traditional organizing strategies, and she found that all these people who didn't get it had three characteristics in common. So she saw that their type of disorganization persisted over a long period of time, and we're talking about, most of your adult life. The disorganization frequently or almost always undermines the quality of life, and it comes back despite repeated self-help attempts. So a lot of people that we work with who live with chronic disorganization, they have tons of self-help books, they tried different strategies, they hired people, and it just didn't work. And during the years after she started the National Study Group for NSG-CD Chronic Disorganization, which turned into ICD, we found out that chronic disorganization may be present with brain-based challenges. So we see it a lot happening in people who live with ADHD or ADD, anxiety, depression, hoarding disorder, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and a lot more. And often it's also combined. So all these people who have these characteristics they are affected by chronic disorganization as we see it. And they need specific help, they need specific strategies that fit their way of thinking and the way that they have built their lives. So, what kind of education do we offer? We have a multi-level education program with certificates of study in level 1, specialist certificates in level 2, the certification program, CPO-CD, in level 3, and then there is the ICD Master Trainer. That is just the levels, and then we have some separate programs, which is the virtual organizing program, where you learn to be a virtual organizing professional. We have hoarding education for people who are non-subscribers of ICD but still want to learn about hoarding. And we have an international foundation certificate in Spanish. Talking about certificates and specialist certificates, it's nice. It's what makes us stand out, I think. But you do not have to obtain any certificates. If you join ICD, you can just listen to classes, get your study points, and that's it. If you like to present yourself as a specialist of some sort, then it's maybe helpful to get your specialist certificates or certificates of study. We mostly have an annual live conference. This year, this will be in Toronto, in Canada. And next month, on the 21st, we have an online event about hoarding, presented by Doctors Mary Dozier, David Tolin, and Randy Frost. And that's a Saturday from 3 in the afternoon until 6. And we'll talk a bit about that later, and I will tell you how you can register for that if you're interested. So let's go to the level 1 topics. There are quite a few topics to get. We have the foundation certificate in chronic disorganization. That is usually the first certificate that you get, and that is included in your premier subscribership. So you pay this 1-year subscribership, and for the first time, that certificate is included. Getting a level 1 certificate means that you take 6 classes on a selected topic. In a class, you get the code words and the code number, you fill them in on the website, and then you'll get your study points. So the topics that we have are ADHD, client management, health issues and conditions and the client affected by CD, understanding the needs of the aging client, interpersonal intelligence, understanding hoarding behavior, students and learning theories, life transitions and the client affected by CD, and time management and productivity. So if you want to have all these certificates, you have 2, 4, 6, 8, you have 10 level 1 certificates. Every next level after the first level, the foundation certificate, is $110 US. We have 5 level 2 certificates. That is a specialist certificate, and it still doesn't mean that you are certified, so it's a certificate. For these topics, chronic disorganization, ADHD, aging, hoarding, and time management and productivity, you take another 6 classes. You also read 4 books or you examine certain websites. You take an online multiple choice exam, and then you get your specialist certificate. You can call yourself a CD specialist or an aging specialist or whatever. And the costs of these certificates are $219 for each certificate, and that includes all 6 classes, the exam, and the certificate. If you're still interested in getting more education, you can become a certified professional organizer in chronic disorganization. That takes a bit more explanation. So you have to be a professional organizer for at least 2 years, and have a minimum of 3 clients at the moment. You must have experience with 5 clients who are affected by chronic disorganization, and you should be an ICD subscriber for at least 2 years. So that's just to make sure that you know the drill, that you know how to work with clients, that you have the knowledge what ICD is, what the education is all about, what chronic disorganization is, just to make sure that you have, a good shot at finishing the program in a positive note. Apart from these 3 requirements, you have to have your CD specialist certificate and 1 other level 2, and you must have 2 other level 1 certificates out of these 4. Yes, please.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, sure.
Experience with 5 clients affected by CD.
Yes.
During what period?
During at least 2 years experience. So
Okay.
at the moment, you must have 3 clients.
Yes.
And in the past, you must have experience with 5 clients. So those 3 can be part of those 5.
Okay. And the last 2 years?
In the last 2 years, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you have to have these extra certificates or specialist certificates. You also are required to participate in the service program. That means that you do some service work, some volunteer work for ICD, and there's all kinds of different jobs to be done. The program length is around 20 months. So you start in January and you work until September of the following year. And you are supported by your own program mentor, who you see 18 times during that period of time. At the end of that period, you have a peer panel review, which is an oral exam that can be live, so during conference, or online. And you have to recertify, every 3 years. The costs at this point are $3,400, but there is a payment plan available. So if that is too much for you to pay at once, there is a way to split the costs over a longer period of time. After the level 3 program, you can try to become a master trainer. It's about the same program length, and that is because you are training a CPO-CD student. But you can only enter this program by recommendation of your program mentor and with approval of the certification manager. During that time, you mentor a CPO-CD student. You have to present a class or classes, volunteer, and have some leadership responsibilities. During that time, you are also being trained and working with a mentor coach. And the evaluation of your work is done by the certification program director and the mentor coach. And also you have to recertify it every 3 years. Is that enough information about these 4 levels of education, or are there questions at this point? It may be a bit much. I will send you the handout right after this class, so you can read it back, and it's recorded. So we will give you access to the recording as well, so you can listen back. So we also have hoarding education for people who are non-ICD subscribers. We found out that there are a lot of related professionals who want to learn about hoarding, are not exactly interested in all the rest of our education, but just want to get more knowledge, more insight in this psychiatric disorder. So we made a compact 6-class program, after which you get a certificate of completion. The costs are $250, but we have a discount for groups. So if you work in an organization with other organizing professionals, the same company, if you have 3 or more people taking this program, you get a discount. I'm not entirely sure what the discount is, but if you're interested, I can find out. 6 classes. So the introduction to hoarding, boundaries and safety, solutions for hoarding, alternatives to rapid clear out, harm reduction in hoarding situations, health and safety in a hoarded home, hoarding and squalor, and understanding the ICD clutter to hoarding scale. So that is an extra program for people who are interested in this topic. Then we train people to become virtual organizing professionals. That is called bridging the gap between your home as an organizing professional and the home of a client, so you can work worldwide, which is a big advantage. And I think we learned a lot about that during the pandemic. You get a certificate as a virtual organizing professional. This training is scheduled quarterly, and the cost for subscribers is currently $597, but it may change in the near future. I had to put this in. And to be accepted, you have to be an organizing professional. You have a minimum of 2 years experience as an in-field professional, so you have to have experience working behind the front door of your clients. You have to sign a confidentiality agreement, and you learn in small groups, 6 students at the most. And the current trainer is Alison Lush, who hopefully is here at the moment. I'm not sure because I didn't see her coming in. I hope she will join us later. This is a very practical program, so you get theory, you get a lot of tips and tricks of how to set up your business as a virtual organizing professional. Excuse me. But you also do a lot of practice, so you work with your students and you practice on each other. I took the program myself before Alison started teaching it, and it was absolutely a wonderful program. Then we have, not exactly relevant to you maybe, the International Foundation Certificate in Spanish, which Nacho Liarte started. Well, we started it in the International Committee, but since his first language is Spanish, he worked it all out. It's 10 classes plus 1 bonus class. Those 10 classes, 11, are 16 hours of education, and the costs are $450 US. So that is the same as a 1-year subscription as a premium subscriber. So if someone speaks not that much English, but he can finish this Spanish certificate and he's willing to try the English lessons, he has access to everything that's in the vault as well. So that's over 200, 300, 400 classes as well. Then we have some free recorded classes. Everyone can sign up for those. They are meant to get acquainted with ICD education, so to learn the type of language that we use, the speed of the classes, the level of the classes, and to see if that is something that you would be comfortable getting a subscribership for. 3 topics: introduction to chronic disorganization, which is always our first focus point, introduction to hoarding, and introduction to ADHD. And you can find these classes on the website under resources and tools, and then free classes, and you just sign up and you get access to those classes. So I talked a lot about taking classes, which is, the main point of the Institute of Challenging Disorganization, the providing of education. But how do you take these classes? Well, not too difficult. It's just online, at your own time, at your own pace. If you want to take a class at 7 in the morning, be my guest. If you want to do it at 3 at night, be my guest. You can do it whenever and wherever you like. We offer around 40 new classes per year. The live classes are mostly at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is the time zone of New York. But sometimes it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, European time, which is the time zone of Amsterdam, either because the presenter comes from Europe and we don't want them to have to present in the middle of the night. And it's also as a gesture for making it easier for people in Europe to attend a live class because it's a different experience. Additional to these live classes, we have hundreds of recorded classes in the vault. And if you have a premium subscription, you have access to the vault for a full year. So you can take at least one class every day for a full year for that premium subscription. And for your convenience, if you want to have certificates, if you want to obtain them, the classes are already bundled for each level 1 and level 2 certificate. So you don't have to look them up. It's just click on the level and you see all 6 classes already standing there for you to listen to. Every class takes about 60 to 75 minutes with questions. And after a class, you fill in code words and a code number to get your education points. And we always ask, what did you think of the class? What's your takeaway? And do you have any other remarks for the presenter? So I already talked a bit about the costs for subscribing. So when you are a first-time subscriber, say all of you sign up tonight, which would be great, but take your time. That includes the foundation certificate, plus access to all the live classes and the vault. That is normally $450 per year. People who renew their premium subscription, they still have access to all the live classes and the vault and all the extras, also for $450 per year. But in 2026, everyone who signs up and everyone who renews their subscription gets a $50 discount. So figure this out. Every class per live class is just around $9. And if you include the vault, then it's just $1 to $2 per class, which is, a ridiculous little amount of money for the content and the value that you can get out of it. I don't think that you can get any education anywhere in this profession for, this much value for that money. And if you want to know more about the current fees, at this moment it is $400. You can count on that for 2026. But for all the level 1, 2, and 3 fees, you can contact ICD, to be sure that that is the right fee at that moment. We offer quite a bit extra apart from your subscribership. We have a bi-weekly newsletter, which is the Pulse, in which we welcome new subscribers, in which we announce the new classes for the coming time, where we have information about conference, about new research, everything that you can think of that is relevant for ICD and for people who are affected by chronic disorganization. We have a research advisory council of researchers and doctors from all over the world and with all kinds of different backgrounds who help us find out which scientific research is relevant for us and help us set up research. We have connect-up groups, and you can see that as a sort of chat groups on certain topics, on certain regions, or a book club. There is a connect-up group specifically for Europe. We will have our first meeting this year in March. We don't have the date yet, I think. And we talk about either a selected class, about a book, about an article that we find. Sometimes someone wants to do a little presentation, and then we have a discussion. It's just to get to know each other a bit better, and since we in Europe are so far away from America, and things are different in this continent with all the different languages and the cultural backgrounds, it's nice to connect and be able to share all your experience and your questions with peers in your own area. You can be part of Find a Professional on the website. So as soon as you have the foundation certificate, we will put your name and your location on the website so potential clients can find you there. Everyone who joins ICD gets an education mentor if they want to. So say that you joined, you have your first certificate, excuse me, and you're not quite sure which direction to go next. Do you want more level 1 certificates? Do you want to specialize? Do you have questions about how the program works, or how you can take certain classes? Then you can ask for an education mentor, and they will guide you through the website and through the whole process. We have a lot of resources on the website. I will take you to the website with the next slide and show you a bit around. We have like the clutter to hoarding scale, we have the clutter quality of life scale, we have fact sheets. So there's a lot of information, often in your own language, that you can find and use, to become a better professional organizer, to get more knowledge. I already talked about the free classes.
ICD website is packed with information, and we have a specific tab for resources, and then you can see that what is chronic disorganization. We have the clutter to hoarding scale, which is an objective tool to measure the level of clutter in different spaces, residential spaces. I'm gonna enter that. And this is just a quick view about the clutter to hoarding scale. And this one is in different languages, which is English, Spanish, Dutch, Italian, Portuguese, French, German, Japanese, and even Russian. And this one has gone through a process of updating it, and we now have 3 versions updated, which are Spanish, Dutch, and English. That is a total 3 resource. This is the long scale, the one that is kind of a booklet, let's say, because it's 16 pages long, or we can use the version of a quick reference version here, which is more like a triptych. You can fold it in 3 parts, so you can have it on your toolkit and use it when you go with your clients and assess the amount of clutter where you are, what you are seeing, basically. Then, again, in resources, we've got the clutter quality of life scale, again, the same languages. So you can have this document, which is basically like a quiz, a self-assessment quiz, because this is for the client to respond. The idea with this quality of life scale is to measure the level of discomfort that the client is feeling with the clutter in the house. And it is for assess 4 areas or areas of life, which are the social aspect, the emotional aspect, the livability of the space, and also the financial situation that the client is living, respecting the, regarding the clutter.
The resources and tools. So Nacho showed you the clutter to hoarding scale, the clutter quality of life scale, the fact sheets. You click on one of those and probably, hopefully, you can find a language, if English isn't your first language, that works for you. So let's take this one, for instance. You can see them in English, Spanish, Italian, Dutch, Portuguese, French, German, and Japanese. which is quite nice. And that goes for all the fact sheets that we have on the website. What other do we have? Well, the free classes, we talked about that. This is the international pages. Let's take the Spanish page. For Nacho, we have a little clip to welcome you, talk about what is ICD, the mission, and then we have the resources here in Spanish. We have the quality of life scale in Spanish and the fact sheets. The resource pages are the pages of, sorry, the international pages are where we have a subscriber who is also an ambassador for ICD in that area, in that country, or in that language or culture. So Nacho covers not only Mexico, where he lives, and Spain, but the biggest part of South America as well, whereas I do the Netherlands, part of Belgium, Suriname, but I also do German because we don't have an ambassador for German, but my German is good enough that I can manage. So that is the website. You can find a lot more about the code of ethics, about the affiliates, so the organizations of professional organizers that we work with. Talked enough about certificates and about education. So let's take you to the vault. And I can take you to the vault because I'm logged in at the moment. So this is what it looks like. This is the homepage of the of our treasure trove of classes, and I think I can show you best by going to the catalog. So I said that all the classes per certificate are bundled up. So let's take the level 1 certificates of study in ADHD. If I click on that one, you can see the 6 classes that you need for this certificate already standing ready for you. And the same goes for level 2 certificates. Again, the ADHD. These are 6 additional classes. If you click on the enroll button, you will get all the information to get started. You get the handout, you can listen to the class, and then you can send in the code words and the code number. So all of this is getting clear when you sign up, and if you are going to take classes, and your program mentor can help you navigate the website and navigate the ICD Vault. Okay, so it's not just for the levels, we also have the recent ICD classes here that are not specifically for a certificate, but you know, the most recent classes that we had. And continuing education, that is where almost everything is, and you can load more and more. Well, I think I can click 5 or 6 times on that button before we hit the end of the vault. So you see how many classes that we offer you if you are a subscriber, and that you can take all the classes or just take a specific topic that is of interest to you. That's all up to you. I think I can stop sharing my screen because, hey, Alison, hello. Because we are a bit at the end of, you know, my presentation. Thank you, Nacho, for taking over when technical problems hit the fan here. I'm so sorry, never happens, but most important evening of this month, and you know, my technical devices just took a break. I know this was a lot of information to take in. I know it was a lot of talking, a lot of classes and certificates, and this is what it costs and this is what you get. So do you have any questions at the moment? Is there something that needs clarification? Yes, Marcella.
Yes, I have a question regarding our small Czech professional organizers group. Are you able to do a specific training for a group of professional organizers instead of doing each of us going through all your 40 classes? If we say we would like to get more experience in, let's say, this, is there a possibility to make a, say, lecture for us? Not especially like for language purposes, but to make it, let's say, customize what we need here now, let's say most of us. Because I think, let's say half of us are definitely having clients with this chronic disorganization points. So what is your view on this? Or are you doing it for some professional groups, not only individuals, but groups in a country?
I think Alison wants to answer that question. Go ahead, Alison.
Thank you so much, Hilde. To start you off, there are a couple of free classes. I think there are 3 free classes available to everyone sitting on the ICD website. And one of them is Introduction to Chronic Disorganization specifically. So you can all access that immediately. And it gives you a really good basic introduction to chronic disorganization. I think that to answer more deeply your question, we don't have specific services to offer to groups lectures. Nacho has done a tremendous amount of outreach like that with different groups on his own on his own initiative. I think that if you were to write to ICD and say, we would like very much to have someone come and lecture our group, it's very possible that something could be arranged.
I just want to chime in with an extra comment here. Recently, I did the revising the Clark to Horton scale, which is a class. I did it in Spanish and I did it in English. Both of them will be available for the public on the YouTube channel. You just need to write an email and ask for permission to access to that particular class, because in that class, I explained the way you can use the Clark to Horton scale when you are working with your clients. And I think it's a good class for all professional organizers, regardless if you are working or not with someone affected by chronic disorganization or hoarding behavior.
Yeah. I think you can find a lot of information on the YouTube channel by ICD. Some longer clips, some shorter clips. Well, the free classes, they're a good start. So why don't you take those 3 classes and look at the YouTube channel? We're also on Instagram. We're on, but are we still on Facebook? You two are not longer on Facebook. I must say, I think we are. See what you're still missing, and then come back to us and ask. And, either we can make something for you, or maybe we have a professional organizer who says, well, I would like to take on that commission and make a special package for you. But that would be on their own initiative, like Nacho did, and not specifically by ICD.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. I already took the intro classes, so I'm aware, and I am intro in hoarding all of these, yeah. So I'm not, let's say, a full beginner, but I'm asking for the group. And other question, is it like what part of those classes which you are offering to non-subscribers or maybe then subscribers, how practical is it? Because I understand the scaling very well. I understand all the questionnaires. Yeah. So let's say we now have all these. I have some clients which are really almost hoarding or in that scheme quite far. So are there lectures like to to, let's say, put us into practice. Yeah, what are now the steps, or what is the best practice, how to work, let's say, in cooperation, which specialists, etc.
Let me think. The six classes. What I generally think of ICD education, it's that you not just get the theory, the ideas and the strategies behind it, but almost every class that I ever took in the 16 years that I've been a subscriber, it is practical as well. I can use everything that I learn the next day with my new clients. So there's always strategies and ideas and tools that you can use immediately. You can combine things. Of course, there's a lot of literature as well. There's a new book coming out by ICD in the next couple of weeks, months, not quite sure, but soon we hope, which also shows the theory and the practical side of things. But your question is like, can we take you by the hand and, tell you what to do when a client scores a certain number on the clutter to hoarding scale? Not exactly, because all the institutions in your country are so different from what we work with here in the Netherlands, are different from what we have in Canada or in Mexico. So to tell you which organizations to approach in a hoarding situation, for instance, that would be quite hard. So we would use the input that you can give us as well. But you can always send me an email if you have questions, and I'm happy to answer. So,
okay.
Yeah. Any more questions, please? Oh, it's awfully quiet suddenly. So, what do you think?
I just have one question, and just a curiosity. What made you attend this organization?
I am a member of the Dutch Association of Professional Organizers, and I used to work a lot with a colleague that I had in very high esteem. And she said, you know what? I'm going to a conference in September to the Institute for Challenging Disorganization, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to come with me? And I said, well, I don't know. I hadn't been an organizer for a very long time. And, I jumped and I said, yeah, sure. And I never left. It's just as simple as that. It's, for me, it's the combination of really, really good education. We have people who are experts in this field. We have people who have lived experience who teach classes. We have ICD subscribers. We have therapists. We have professors from Yale, from Harvard, from, really great universities. So the education is phenomenal. It's a great way to collaborate with colleagues from all over the world who work with this specific type of clients. I don't do financial organizing. I don't do computer organizing. I can hardly organize my own computer, it has to work. And if it doesn't, I kind of panic like you saw tonight. But within ICD, we all work with these clients who are, affected by chronic disorganization, who live with hoarding issues. So we understand what we need in information. We have all these different views from all different cultures, different parts of the world. And to be honest, for me, the personal part within ICD is really big as well. I made some really great friends. Two of them are here tonight, so I'm very happy with them. But once you enter a conference with ICD, you are welcomed. You are immediately part of the community. You don't have to stand alone if you don't want to. People show you around. They will help you get acquainted with ICD. Everyone's very friendly, very helpful. And it also gave me the opportunities to volunteer on all kinds of levels and work together with different colleagues, learn a lot. And I've been given opportunities that I could never dream of. So maybe it sounds a bit like I'm in love with ICD, but I love ICD. It's yeah, it for me personally, it was the best decision of my life. Okay, bye, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Alison.
I'd like to add something, please. I'm a member of the Canadian Professional Organizers. I was a member of the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Specialists in the United States for a number of years, and I'm a subscriber to ICD. And there's a stark difference, a very dramatic difference between the national associations. They help us understand the industry. They help us get our businesses running. They give some fundamental education. They're very important and they do a good job. But ICD helps, and they tend to focus on organizing things, organizing space, making things look nice, making things standardized. ICD is focused on humans. ICD is focused on the clients, on the individual person, and what are their challenges. And it's not focused on making our homes all look pretty and like Instagram and all the same. It's looking at the individual and how is the person suffering and what can we do to help them improve their situation and remove the suffering. So ICD is completely focused differently because it's focused on the human and quality of life. And so all of the people who are in ICD also share that focus. We all, Hilde, Nacho, and I, and all of our colleagues, we are focused on the clients and on their quality of life. It's very different from being focused on having nice shelves and pretty containers and beautiful labels. It's two totally different worlds, and it's extremely gratifying to help someone learn how to manage their belongings and their homes better so that they have a better quality of life.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I couldn't for the life of me, figure out what fits in what kind of closet and have this inside of space, but I really understand what's bothering people, why they struggle, and to find out what's behind all that. And sometimes it has to do with mental health challenges, with the brain-based conditions, like I told you in the beginning. It's often also combined with the convictions and the beliefs that someone has about themselves, about their stuff, and how that is helping or not helping them. People saying like, oh, I'm a perfectionist, so I can't do this, or I've always been this way. So, and we learn to turn those beliefs around, or at least work around and with those beliefs to make their lives better. And yes, sometimes it has to do with situations, with people losing their job, people getting triplets instead of one baby at a time. Sometimes it's a house that is completely illogical when you look at the layout. Sometimes it's the light in the house that is not working. But we look at all three factors and try to figure out what is the best way to work with the client to make their lives better. And, if we have boxes or whatever, that's not important. That's really, the last of our worries with a client. So most of them have this, what we here in the Netherlands call a backpack with issues. And you have to understand those issues, the ADHD and the autism and the traumatic brain injury and the ADHD, to understand them and see how we can help them with new strategies, with completely individualized strategies to help them cope with whatever situation they are dealing with.
Can I have a question, please?
Yes, Jana.
Jana from Czech Republic. When listening to you, I started wondering how close do your classes come to psychology and psychiatry, and where do you draw the line to show to other people, to clients, that you are not trained doctors or nurses or psychiatrists, whatever. So how do you handle this field, which is pretty, it's a thin ice to walk on, I guess?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. There is a very thin line between professional organizing and coaches and sometimes even therapists. We have this ethical code within ICD. We do not offer services that we are not qualified for. So we do not offer therapy. We don't offer coaching unless we are a trained coach. So a lot of the classes have to do with psychological backgrounds, knowledge, so we can recognize things in our clients and understand where they are coming from, but we do not treat them. But if we know what lies behind, excuse me, traumatic brain injury or PTSS, I'm sorry, then we can either find strategies that might work with them. We know what kind of language to use to avoid, and we can also understand which other professionals we can involve in working with this client. And if we see an issue that we cannot deal with ourselves, then we bring in related professionals if the clients agree to that, of course. But it takes a village sometimes to help a client, which is a professional organizer, a social worker, sometimes the fire brigade, a therapist, a doctor. So if we do not understand all the psychological issues within a client, we do not know what other help might be necessary. So yes, there is a big part of it is psychological, but not to treat the client. It's just to make sure that they get the best help they need. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anyone else? So what are your takeaways from tonight? Are you interested in ICD education? Are you all gonna apply for the free classes? What was it what you expected? I'm so curious to know what kind of education that you have taken and that you have access to, and if this is something that is complementary or something completely new, or if this is something that you might be interested in.
I have maybe a question. Hi, I'm Michaela from Czech Republic. I would like to ask, I'm interested in clients with chronic disorganization and ADHD, but not that much hoarding clients.
Mm-hmm.
They're not my ideal clients. I cannot do that.
Okay.
So are there some basic programs on these topics that would not include really the hoarding clients, hoarding issues?
Yeah, so you have to take the foundation certificate in chronic disorganization. And if you say, well, hoarding clients, that's just not my thing, the whole hoarding, then you don't take hoarding classes, you don't get your hoarding certificates, that's fine. I don't work a lot with clients with ADHD. That's not so much my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hoarding is my thing. So I skip ADHD classes,
Okay.
take hoarding classes. So that is the beauty of ICD. You can make your own education. You can take whatever classes you want to. You can get certificates if you want to. If you don't want to, that's just fine. Take the education. So no, you don't have to take all the classes. You can build your own education and your own career.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I got, I rolled into the whole hoarding client's world, not exactly by accident. It was a conscious choice. I sometimes wonder why, because it is a very hard group to work with, very difficult, very you have to be very empathetic and very patient. And sometimes, I could burst into tears if I see the living conditions that these people are experiencing. But I know that I can make a difference for them, and that is something that I got interested and it never let go. But if you don't want that, don't do it. You have people within ICD subscribers who are focusing on elderly people, on families with young kids, with people with physical disabilities, people with PTSS. You can practically do whatever you like once you're in. More questions?
Not question, but you asked what we think.
Yes.
And I think I'm going to do the free classes to see if I can work with that or if I feel comfortable with the education. Because it's also my own interest, because I think I am in a ADD spectrum myself, and I have a lot of customers also with this issue. So it's both maybe for myself to handle it better, but also for my customers. So I'm really into that and hope, I can learn some things for myself too.
Good.
And it's really interesting that I have a lot of ADD clients, but I understand the way they think. Maybe that's easier for me.
Yeah. You will find that within ICD, a lot of the people have the same conditions as their clients. There are a lot of people, a lot of organizers who live with ADD or ADHD, clients who live with, physical disabilities or physical challenges, people with autism who are on the spectrum. So it's fantastic that you say that, I understand how they think. There you have it. It's great. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's also sometimes it's really a challenge for me because I know how they feel or with what they're struggling, and then I need to keep focusing all the time. And that's challenging sometimes. So maybe the education will help guiding me through this.
And you may find that within the education, there are strategies that are working for you to help you manage your business and working with your clients.
Yeah, that I will scroll through the website and find what's best for me. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. You're welcome. Last round of questions. Last question, perhaps. Or we can wrap it up. Should you have any questions within the next couple of days, I will send you.
I have one question, actually.
You have a question.
Yes, and it's a difficult one. I have a client over the phone, only over the phone, because she didn't find anyone in her area, and just before Christmas, she's having a tough period with everything around, with her mom and with her family and everything, and she was starting to claim that she don't want to live.
Oh.
And what would you do in such situation?
Oh boy.
The only thing she wants is to tidy her apartment and her mom's apartment, and she doesn't get anywhere we had contact for more than a year.
It's very hard when a client expresses a wish to no longer live. It's very hard to distinguish if this is something that's a cry out for help or if it's the real desire. So I would always involve their doctor or a crisis team to find out, because this is a responsibility that you cannot take as a professional organizer to deal with this kind of trauma. I think that's the best I can say here. It's never your responsibility to make her want to live again, but you can't do nothing, and I think that's the hard part. So find a doctor, find a crisis help team that might step in, reach out to family if you know of family that, if you have their contact information, but do not bear this responsibility on your own. I don't know if Alison or Nacho have anything to add here.
Actually, I never been in that situation,
Mm.
but pretty much I will do the same you are recommending, because
Yeah.
it's something big, and someone who is prepared to manage that situation is required. And I am not the
Yeah.
one. I mean, I got a lot of studies in different things. One of those is grieving, actually, but that is not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing to have grief for a loved one who is no longer with you than someone who expressed the wish to end the life.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in the situation where clients told me that they didn't want to live anymore, and I asked them to contact their doctor in my presence, so I knew that they spoke to their doctor, and I didn't want to leave until they did. So that was my solution at the time. I have a colleague here in the Netherlands who experienced a couple of clients who took their own lives, and that, such a situation can be very traumatic for the professional organizer as well. So take good care of yourself and, get your client the help that they need, or at least alarm people who might be of help.